and bring in, he's our rodeo guy here on the show. He's Dustin Edwards, and it's a triple header rodeo weekend in southern Saskatchewan. Pilot Butte, Estevan, and Long Creek and Radville. Dustin, as a guy who's passionate about the biz, a triple header, is there anything better than that?
No, what it means is lots of miles for the cowboys and cowgirls, and not a lot of recovery time if things don't go well in rodeo number one. So a busy weekend, busy weekend for all the competitors.
So if you've never don't know Dustin's background, he's an original Sasky guy. He's our JB Mooney. He's been on the back of a bull before. He's a rodeo announcer now. He heavy into this. So you've been traveling, right? You've been rodeoing every weekend but you're behind the microphone safe.
That's
safe
right.
and sound, and no injuries to report. Well, maybe to the liver, but everything else is fine. Where have you been in the past couple of weeks? Like, what rodeos have you been doing?
It's been really busy. You're right. Just in the past 12 days, we were up in Leduc, Alberta for 4 days of Canadian Pro Rodeo action there. Then down to Brooks for the Newell Pro Rodeo down there, and then 2 nights ago, Galicia, Alberta hosts a $25,000 added professional bronc riding match, which featured the top 30 guys in the world. So I was on the mic for that 2 nights ago. So we're just coming off a really, really busy run of pro rodeo, and finally able to take a breath. It's a bit quieter weekend on the pro side, so we'll gear up and keep rolling next week.
Pilot Butte Rodeo tonight. They're going to run the slack at 6, and then it's the Caitlin's Crusaders bronc riding. Tell us about that and why this is so special.
Yeah, this is a really cool event. So Caitlin Stenberg comes from a prominent rodeo family in Saskatchewan, has been doing this for a number of years. She calls it Caitlin's Crusaders bronc match for MS. And it's really the kickoff to Pilot Butte, bring in some of the top bronc riders in Western Canada. So it's saddle bronc only. So the classic event of rodeo. And all the funds raised from this go to MS. They've raised a ton of money. Even a portion of the entry fees from the Cowboys go to MS. Admission, they got a 50-50 auction. And the bronc riders riding for this title also get a chance to win some really cool custom knives. So it's kind of become a coveted trophy award, these beautiful knives. So really cool cause for MS. And Caitlin and her team have done a great job of getting this going.
Whoa. I'm not that out of the loop. When did we stop giving away buckles in rodeo? Now we're into knives. Where did knives come from, and who approved this? Because I would love to know the backstory.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're a cowboy, probably the most used tool you have is a knife. So It went hand in hand, and it's cool. A lot of cowboys win a lot of buckles. So it's cool when committees and associations come up with something different. I've seen guitars, surfboards. What else? Yeah, trophy rifles. They don't work, but they're trophy. So yeah, a little bit of everything. But tonight it's about the knives. Maz, all about the knives.
I don't know if you need a surfboard down at Katepwa, but whatever. So it's funny. So the Caitlin's Crusaders bronc riding, and then there's karaoke to follow.
Yeah, and I think it's optional for the bull riders, or for the bronc riders.
And I just said, just whatever, no slow songs. Nobody wants to hear You're Still the One by Shania Twain as the second song of the night. Like, that's just going to bring the crowd down. Like, we need tempo. Okay, tomorrow, chariot races at 11, CCA Rodeo, and then Chuck's at 12:30. Now, because the Estevan Rodeo is KRCA, and this is CCA Rodeo. So the different associations is... they're all great. Just the difference for the average person that maybe doesn't know. Yeah,
for sure. So maybe I'll put it in hockey terms. Maybe that's will hit and relate a little more. So you picture like Canadian Pro Rodeo Association, the CFR. That's the finale. That's your NHL. The CCA would be like the American Hockey League. This is a lot of great pro cowboys from Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba. A lot of them we'll see in pro rodeos. We'll see them as CFR qualifiers, and so many great rodeos across Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. And then when you talk about the KCRA, that's like, I'd say what we call the East Coast Hockey League. This is a lot of local competitors, a lot of amateurs fresh out of high school, learning the ropes of rodeo. So all great associations and all an important piece of development for cowboys and cowgirls.
And then the goal is, like, if we're speaking hockey, you start one place and you're trying to move up. So the competitors at the Saskatchewan Rodeo first performance tonight goes at 7, tomorrow night at 7. The cowboys and cowgirls from there are looking to do well enough to get themselves into the CCA, correct, to keep moving up the ladder and up the chain, right?
That's correct. And each one of the associations has a big finals, a season final. So, the KCRA, that finals happens in September, end of September at Prairie Land Park in Saskatoon. So they want to win those finals, hone their craft, and then, move up to the CCA and those bigger rodeos against a lot tougher competition.
Okay, and then also rounding out the trifecta is the Long Creek Rodeo in Radville. Tonight, I like this. There's no events. There's just beer gardens, which opens at 5 in 46 minutes, and then a steak dinner at 5:30. And then the rodeo doesn't get going. Yeah, then rodeo doesn't get going until tomorrow at 4, which I think is great. But there again, as I said, a lot of miles on a lot of trucks, a lot of trailers, making the circuit, and you've done this. You're trying to get from one to the other and hopefully earning money along the way, because it's the only way it's funny, it costs a lot more to fill that tank than it ever used to, right? So does losing hurt more now when you're out of the money, just because of the input costs are that much higher?
Yeah, and you've got an entry fee at every single rodeo. So you're paying to get on these horses and bulls and make your run, and then the fuel. When you're in the rough stock, you can pile in with 10 guys in a truck and a camper and live a little closer to the poverty line if you have to. But you buck off one, say you start in Pilot Butte, you're going to see all the same cowboys and cowgirls at Pilot Butte as you're going to see in Radville. So if they buck off or have a bad run in Pilot Butte or vice versa, they're going to be itching to turn things around and make some money. And there's some really good competitors up at all these rodeos. You're seeing the who's who of the CCA, and they too all trying to make the finals in North Battleford come October.
Is it 3 weeks from today that Stampede will start? Do I have my calendar math correct?
You're getting pretty close here. Yeah, we're getting under the 4-week window, and things are busy at Stampede Park.
Okay, so who are some of the, obviously this is the pro stuff now we're talking. Who are some of the cowboys you're excited about that are going to be at Stampede this year, or that are having good years that could really put their stamp, like you have on your hat, that CS, and maybe have a nice trip to the bank with one of those giant checks? Who's got you excited this year?
Well, yeah, the big check's $50,000 to win the Calgary Stampede. I'll start with Saskatchewan kids. There's 2 bull riders from Saskatchewan, and I should say 1 kid and 1 veteran. Grady Young is a young bull rider from Leader, Saskatchewan. This guy is an absolute talent. He comes from a ranch. His dad made the CFR. So Grady Young in the bull riding, it's his first Calgary Stampede, only his second year pro, and he made it in. He's the real deal. I'd watch for him in the bull riding. Dakota Butter is from Etonia, Saskatchewan, grew up in Kindersley. He's a guy that has been dominating bull riding over the past 10, 15 years. Never rule out the wily veteran from Saskatchewan to make some noise. It's also the first year we've got ladies breakaway roping in the Calgary Stampede Rodeo. So this is new this year. They also are roping for the $50,000 check. And there's a cowgirl from a rodeo family outside of Brooks, Kendall Pearson. She's been a 2-time Canadian champion. She's my bet in the first edition of the breakaway roping at the Calgary Stampede. And then in the saddle bronc riding, I think there's, I want to say 8 or 9 Canadians, and every single one of them can win this whole thing. That's how good they are and how good they're riding this year. Ben Anderson, he won our bronc match in Gleason 2 nights ago, won $8,000 there. So he's got a little wind in the sail. So momentum's key heading into the Calgary Stampede.
When it comes to Stampede, for like a lot of these cowboys, you're talking about like Kate's second year in, much like if it's Game 7 of the World Series or Stanley Cup Final, Oilers, Panthers, it's a nerve situation, right? They've done it a million times. They've had to. There's no other way. But does sometimes the stage get so big because of, as a Canadian kid at the Stampede, feeling that pressure could probably be overwhelming, right?
Oh, 100% it is. And you hear a lot of the cowboys who have won it talked about, how many bad runs and bad rides they had in their first few years at Calgary. I don't know how many rookies have won at their first ever Stampede, but I can bet you it's not a lot. When you stand down in the arena, been fortunate to be down in the back of the chutes, and you hear the roar of that grandstand. It's so loud and it's so significant. You look at some of these young cowboys. Grady Young's going to his first. Strand Dunham's a young cowboy who spent a lot of time in the CCA, prominent CCA family. He's going to be there in the tie-down roping. First ever Calgary Stampede. Before this, the biggest stage he's roped on is the CFR, and he's done that one time. So young kid, traveled all over Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and now in July gets to go back into the box at Calgary. Never bet against him, but there's going to be a lot of nerves if you're there for the first time.
It would be no different. Like if you're a Saskatchewan kid, and you want to play for the Riders because you play football. I mean, that's a dream. And if you're a Canadian kid doing rodeo, I mean, obviously, Stampede 1 probably, NFR in Vegas would be 2. Some would flip it around because, just the way that it works out. And the best part is the quality of athlete coming out of Saskatchewan these days better than you've ever seen it when it comes to rodeo?
You know what? I would say 100%. And that's in big part due to the quality of high school rodeo associations where these kids are learning, the generational knowledge that's being passed down in these rodeo families and the opportunities. If there wasn't 2 or 3 rodeos a weekend in Saskatchewan, these CCA rodeos with really good stock, really good communities, really good prize money, we wouldn't have these kids getting so good, and you wouldn't have Grady Youngs and the Strand Dunhams and all the McLeods, from Waldeck roping at the highest of levels at Calgary and the CFRs and making a full-time living out of it and winning Canadian titles and having legitimate opportunities to win every time they nod their heads. So it's outstanding.
Well, you talk a lot about, or there's the discussion, hockey and ringette for kids is really expensive and it's very involved and there's a lot of travel. Rodeo is too. I mean, there's travel. I mean, then if there's animals involved, it's really easy for the kids just to pick up an iPad and the parents to be like, oh, good, their time's taken up. That commitment to do that, especially rodeo, because it's one thing if you lose a hockey game, it's another thing when rodeo doesn't go well because you can get hurt. This is a big deal. Tomorrow night at the Bud Light Cabaret at the Pilot Butte Rodeo with the Gecko Band. If it's you, Dustin Edwards, as we're chatting here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, are you starting with a Bud Light or is it a whiskey first? Like, how does that go when it's time to socialize? Are you ease your way in with a runway, hard in? If we walk up to the bar at the same time and I'm buying, what is your drink of choice?
Well, for me as a competitor, it was how well the rodeo went would determine it. If it went well, I'm probably having a Bud Light easing in. It didn't go so good. It's straight to the whiskey. These days, I'm easing in with a Bud Light, Maz, and not hitting cruising altitude too early in the evening, especially in Pilot Butte where they're probably going to have a party.
Cruising altitude. I don't know if I've ever heard it referred to like that. I'm gonna steal that. Hey, just because it's been so crazy, and we're asking everybody on last night, Oilers, Panthers, Stanley Cup Final 2-2. As fans, should we get 7 games of this craziness? Like, I'm up for it if everybody else is.
100%. I mean, I was glued to the TV last night. I walked away for like 30 seconds, and that's when Florida tied it up with 19 to go. And I thought, I cannot do this. I cannot risk getting up and walking away at the wrong time. This is some of the best playoff hockey I can recall watching. And you know where my loyalties lie and who I work for outside of rodeo. And they're called the Calgary Flames. So I am very cautious with how I talk about the Oilers. But man, what a series. It's been so fun to watch. If you weren't excited coming into the finals, no matter who you cheer for, you're excited now. And give me 7 in overtime. And it's been a lot of fun.
All right. We'll wrap up on this. You have a very successful rodeo podcast, but it's more than that. It's called Cowboy. It's an SH and then an exclamation point and then a T. So figure that out if it's on the socials. But recently, you guys interviewed actor Neil McDonough, correct? And Neil is, if you don't know him by name, if you were to see him, you will know instantly. I'm like, oh, everything. He's been in Band of Brothers. He's been in every great movie. That was an awesome interview. He just seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, and he just did a movie about being a professional bull rider, and he's an old retired bull rider and comes out of retirement. The ride, yeah. If the name doesn't ring a bell, look at him. He's been in Yellowstone, I think. This guy is a legend, and yeah, and did a really cool movie. And they used a lot of the PBR guys, professional bull riders. Some that you'll see at Stampede acted in that movie. So if you're a rodeo fan, check out that movie. It was really cool, and he's a super good guy. What an A-lister to be able to bring on the show.
I believe in Yellowstone, is it season 1 or 2? And then it's him and his brother. They come to the Dutton Ranch. Things don't go well. Rip gets involved. And then a few episodes later, their plane explodes over Utah or something.
That's correct. That's exactly it.
Don't mess with the Duttons. That is, especially Beth. That's one tough family. Dustin, I love this. As always, hey, let's try and catch up. Stampede's going to be crazy. Let's catch up after Stampede. We'll go down the path. Maybe we'll get to cruising altitude. Maybe we won't. But yeah, thanks for coming on to break down triple header weekend in Southern Saskatchewan when it comes to rodeo. He is Dustin Edwards of the Cowboy podcast. You can find it on the socials.